Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Rough, Neil Lennon and Tam McManus are with me. And here's what's on the show.
Brendan Rodgers' blast claims he was going through the motions this season, with Celtic now on the cusp of winning the Scottish Premiership title. Philippe Clement believes injuries have played a key role in the outcome of this season's Old Firm derbies, with Rangers failing to win any of the 4 league clashes.
It's challenging playing against a Celtic squad who's with all the players available, and at that moment missing 9 players.
Nick Montgomery insists he's still the right man to take Hibs forward despite their woeful run and his failure to guide the club into the top 6.
And it's confident, I believe in myself and I believe in the direction and where I feel I can take the club. And
Mikel Arteta is dreaming of pipping Manchester United to the English Premier League title after the Gunners' win over Man United takes the race to the last day of the season.
Today we want to really knock that door and open that box of dreams to live the last and the final day of the season in front of our people.
Yeah, it's getting exciting down south. We'll talk about that a little later on in the programme. Of course, looking back over the Scottish Premiership fixtures over the weekend, including that massive match at Celtic Park between Celtic and Rangers. And we'll also look ahead to the midweek fixtures, which, if Celtic get a point, they will be crowned champions. Just before we start talking about all that, got a message in from Jack, who says, could you make one of the prizes for next year's predictor a game of golf with Ruffy and Tam while he's still with us? What about that, Ruffy? Oh, that's shocking, isn't it? Where's Tam going?
I thought he meant Ruffy. I thought he meant Ruffy before he dies.
Yeah, that's exactly.
All right, I was talking about me.
No, that'd be great.
It's a bit harsh, Ruffy, isn't it?
I'm sure Neil would want to come as well.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to play golf with you two bandits.
Yeah, that's exactly it. But anyway, Jack, we'll try and I think we should put something like that in.
What are you, just Jack 94?
Yeah, Jack might not be with us either. Anyway, thanks for the message. We like to read out your messages, especially on YouTube and across our social media. And thank you for all your support for the programmes throughout the season. As we head towards the end of the Scottish season, we continue all the way through the summer. We're going to the Euros, and we're hopefully going to have you alongside us, joining us every day of the week with all the content. And really looking forward to it, Tam, are you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Euros immensely now. Obviously, I think the league's done. Celtic going to win the title, but hopefully Scotland can go to Germany and do the nation proud.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's look back over the weekend. Celtic against Rangers. In the end, did the quality shine through, Neil Lennon?
Yeah, it's what we spoke about on Friday. Quality, pace, creativity. Celtic had that over Rangers all season, basically. And they dominated the game. You know, although I think the game was a microcosm of Celtic's season. Definitely the better team, but making hard work of it. You know, O'Reilly misses the penalty. There's a bit of a downturn, but I can't be negative about the performance. There was a lot riding on that game, and Celtic came through it with flying colours. They were absolutely excellent for a good 60-70 minutes of the game. Although the psychology of the game did hinge on the red card. I think John Lundstram had 2 moments of madness, if you want to call it that. You know, own goal's an own goal, but you know what he did for the tackle on Johnson was madness, absolute madness.
Yeah, certainly put them on the back foot and made it ever so difficult. Although a lot of Rangers fans might be looking at some of the credible performances of certain players, but over the piece, I don't think the majority of Rangers fans are fooled. Not good enough over the Scottish Premiership fixtures against Celtic. 1 point from 12, Ruffy.
No, and I think if you analyse the game, and the more you look at it, I mean, just look at the highlights. Most of the chances were Celtic's. You know, it was just chance after chance after chance. I can't remember. I think Rangers had a couple of chances early on with Silva, but after that, there was nothing. I don't think Joe Hart had a save to make. So I think that, not disappointed, that's not the right word. I think Celtic wanted to finish the game a lot more comfortable and give the fans something to sing about. Because as Neil said, last 10 minutes were a wee bit nervy. That was just because Rangers were just lumping everything into the box.
You could sense that the goal was coming, Tam, because you know, Matt O'Reilly and Callum McGregor had what you would call those early sighters, where they had shots on goal that didn't quite hit the target.
Yeah, I think Celtic won that midfield battle well of doors, Peter. I think that, you know, I thought McGregor was outstanding. You know, I don't think he's been particularly at his best this season at times, but I thought he was, in a big game, he turned up. He was driving the team forward. He had a couple of shots, O'Reilly had a couple of shots, and Rangers were kind of inviting them, you know, sitting deep and inviting shots for the edge of the box, and it was only a matter of time before one of them, you know, beat the goalkeeper. And I think once that first goal went in for Celtic, I think there was only going to be one winner. I know we'll speak about the red card, but I think once Celtic got the first goal, there was only going to be one winner. If Rangers were going to win the game, they had to score first, and they had a great chance with Silver. Russell mentioned it. I think he's ducked it. I think he's bottled it a wee bit. Peter, it's come in. He's shirked it. You know, if he goes and attacks that ball, it's 1-0, and it could be a totally different game. So I thought Celtic thoroughly deserved to win, but that was a turning point for me, that miss by Silver.
Yeah, I thought you made a good point on Sky, Neil, which was quite simply that it was about Celtic going out to beat Rangers, whereas Rangers' philosophy seemed to be working out, you know, how to stop Celtic in certain capacity.
Yeah, and I get that to a certain degree. You know, you're playing at Celtic Park, you've not won yet, and it was imperative that they tried to disrupt Celtic's rhythm and not let them get off to a fast start. But, you know, at times it's easier said than done. I just don't think they have the players, Peter, and I felt that all season. Look, we're talking about Rangers. They've lost 7 games in 36. There's still 2 games to go. 7 already. There's no way you win a championship with that record. And, you know, particularly in the big games, they've come up well short. You know, they had a great opportunity. The opening one at Ibrox when, you know, Celtic were, you know, he had no real centre halves. You know, he's going with Larga Bielka and Scales, and Celtic still prevailed 1-0. And you know Celtic are only going to get stronger as the season progresses. You know, Clement's come in, he's steadied the ship, if you want to call it that. But I just, you know, with injuries to Sima, you know, Cortez, Danilo, maybe you always talk about the players that aren't there that maybe could make you better, but. Like, bottom line is they're not good enough at the minute, and they have a huge amount of thinking to do over the summer.
Yeah, interesting the two managers' takes on it. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, I think from Philippe Clement, you always get that knee-jerk reaction of people who are erratic in their assessment because you don't win, you know, a derby match. But Philippe Clement has got the summer to try and build his own side. I think we've got to be fair to him. He might have been able to get some players in that he was looking for in the January transfer window, but he's got to have a full summer of building his side.
Yeah, I think first of all he's got to identify players that are going to last the season. I think there was too many players at Rangers were getting injured here and getting injured there. There was no consistency at all, chopping and changing, and that didn't help them at all. But for me, I mean, I know the boy Dessers has scored 20 odd goals, but for me, when you're at Rangers and Celtic, I think you need somebody who's scoring near enough 30. I mean, I know Celtic haven't done that this year, but everybody else has chipped in.
Yeah, I don't want to get into, you know, different pundits on any broadcasters or written press or the media in general on their assessment of certain aspects of the game, because I think everybody's entitled to their opinion. So, from your point of view, what did you make of the red card for Lindstrom?
Oh, it's a Stonewall red card, Peter. I don't see how anybody could argue that, to be honest. I know Kenny argued it, but for me it's a Stonewall red card. He goes in at pace, he catches him. It's not as if he's won the ball and then caught the player. He doesn't get any of the ball at all. He just comes through, catches him high in the ankle. Lucky his leg's not planted, or he could get a broken leg. That's how I broke my ankle at Hibs, similar tackle, and my leg was planted, so he got away with that one. But I don't see how anybody could argue that wasn't a red card, and that was another key point in the game. Rangers had just got back into the game, 2-1, and then that was curtains for me. Once they went down to 10 men, there was no way back for them.
Yeah, and it was one of those games where you just go into a darkened room and you forget about it, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible for him. I'm sure he doesn't mean to do it. He's an experienced player though, and an important player for Rangers this season. But the own goal's a bizarre one. Like, you know, I don't know what he's trying to do. I don't know if he's trying to control it or trying to avoid it, but it seems to come off almost toe poked it in and sort of swazzed into the corner. I don't know, like, if you even look at the build up that where he's wrong side of it, he's probably thinking it's a 60-yard ball, so you know we should be able to deal with it. But Rangers don't, because Hattari has time, Maeda has time to bring it down, and Tavernier backs off, and that's a big mistake. Like, you know, he didn't do anything, Tavernier. Once Maeda gets it under control, Tavernier should have had body contact straight away. Anyway, the red card, you know, I think he's going in, they've just got back into the game. I think he wants to impose himself on the game. And like, when you go in like that in the modern day, you have to get the ball. You just have to. You can maybe get away with it if you get the ball, but he's taking Johnson's ankle first, and I'm sorry, but there's just no justification for it.
Yeah, there are some players who might not be wearing a Rangers jersey next season. I wonder if there's a story developing with Todd Cantwell. If you can't get on the park in that game, even as a substitute, there's something amiss, Ruffy.
Yeah, from the outside looking in, it looks as if there is a wee bit of history between the player and the manager. I think it happened in a European game when he hauled him off after 20 minutes because he wasn't going to the instructions had been given him to do. So maybe he's that kind of player, you know, that you can't rely on all the time. And I think Clement's theory was he wasn't the kind of player that suited that game. I would have disagreed with that. I think on the ball, on his game, when he's on his game, he's a dangerous player and he's somebody you have to be aware of. But he's obviously, the manager thinks differently.
Yeah, as ever, it's always good to get the manager's thoughts after the game and see what they think. Brendan Rodgers, I think he's probably looking to try and maybe settle a few scores with people who said things through the season that he wasn't too happy with. After the game, this is what he had to say regarding that win. I was surprised that I heard somebody say Brendan Rodgers is going through the motions. From a personal level, I've been treated like a novice since I came back here, like it's my first job. We are nearly crossing the finishing line and we don't just want to cross it, we want to sprint over it. Has the criticism been fair, Tam?
I think at times it has been, Peter, because Celtic have not hit the heights that they have previously under Brendan. Brendan set a very, very high bar. You know, his record at Celtic's fantastic. And I think when he came back, the Celtic supporters were expecting the same. You know, go out, dominate games, particularly taking over from Ange Postecoglou and his style of play, where they were just going after teams, you know, and scoring 5 and 6. I think they've been slow and pedestrian at times in possession. I think they've tried to play through the thirds a little bit slower than obviously Ange done, and I think the supporters wanted quicker football, more goals, more entertainment. But at the end of the day, he's done what he's came to do. He's going to win the league. They've got a chance to win the double as well. So I think he's well within his rights to have a pop back at people who maybe questioned him at times during the season.
Well, that's an interesting point that you do make, and I know as a manager, you'll understand more than anyone that it's not necessarily a given that somebody wins the league.
No.
So he deserves that. If he wants to have a pop, then I say fair play to him, because it's not easy to win the league.
No, I think he's kept his powder dry until this moment, you know, where he's obviously been irked by comments that are made, and I get it, you know. He set an unbelievably high bar the first time. He's gone down, managed the Premier League, won an FA Cup. He's come back. All right, we'll all admit the performances have been a bit inconsistent, to say the least, but they're still, you know, home and hose now. So I think he will put his own stamp on everything in the summer, and hopefully he gets what he wants to get going forward. But yeah, I mean, there have been times when, you know, the performances haven't been great, but it's not down to Brendan. Brendan's an elite manager, you know. Been here and done it. So I can understand him being annoyed by some of the hyperbole that comes out after such, you know, quick games.
How many positive messages did you get from the media put down in front of you?
What do you mean?
When you're sitting there as a manager, how many of the PR guys sit down and going, by the way, he said something nice about you, by the way, he said something nice? You don't. You just get a constant, here's what this person said, here's what this person said.
Yeah, but is it? I think what you have to remember is it necessary? Is it justified?
If it's constructive, is it?
Sometimes, yeah, no question. But sometimes I think the negativity outweighs the praise.
Yeah.
And I also think that sometimes the negativity is totally unjustified. And it's almost like, you know, fast food. You got to deliver it now. And if you don't, then they're going to come after you. And look, they lost 2 games in December. Big wow. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. You can't just keep winning. And every season's not going to be the same where you're going to win treble. It's just not, it doesn't happen. It's
Well, that's
not
why
been
we
perfect.
were arguing the sense of entitlement sometimes.
Yep. This is from outside influences, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, we've all experienced that over the last few years just because of the success that we've all had and the expectations that brings. But sometimes there's an unrealistic expectation, Pete.
Yeah, well, if I'm going to throw my tuppence worth in this one, we all accept that he's a good manager.
Of course he is.
He's a top manager. But I disagree with what you said there. He wasn't brought back to win the league, Ruffy. In so many people's mind, in my mind, I thought they're bringing him in after Ange Postecoglou because, one, he's an available top manager at the level that Celtic want. But 2, the general perception, I thought, he's back this time with maybe an assurance in the background that you will have money to bring in quality players, which he mentioned throughout the season, rather than quantity. And I think, my personal opinion is, he was denied those quality players. He didn't get them when he wanted them, either in the summer window and in this January window. The big problem now is, Ruffy, he's delivered £60 million definite in the group stages of the Champions League. They're going to get the season ticket money. They're going to get the merchandise money. They've got 70 million in the bank already. They're going to get money from the add-ons from the Frimpong deal, and they might sell Matt O'Reilly because of the huge demand. That's a lot of money, Ruffy, in the kitty.
It's a lot of money, but as again, Neil will know better than us. When everybody expects you to get that better quality might not want to play in Scotland.
Want to come.
Absolutely.
Although Champions League.
Yeah, the Champions League, yeah. So right away, we're not privy to what goes on. Neil is privy to being in a boardroom with the directors and saying, look, this is where I want to take us. And then you've got to convince the board to buy into what you're doing. You know, I don't know what's been going on with Brendan, because I agree with you. I would have thought Brendan would have come in here wanting to buy a better player. You know, and the disappointment in Europe can't go on forever. You know, because I think the expectations of playing with Celtic, you should be not winning the group or anything like that, but you should be advancing into either Europa or something like that. So I think that's something that he's going to be in the next boardroom and saying, look, this is what I want to do. You have to come with me on that. But I can't see the 12 million, 15 million pound player coming to Celtic.
No, and I don't think any Celtic fan that I've spoken to is suggesting for a minute, Neil, go and spend 10 million, go and spend 15 million. They just wanted a better calibre of player, and they are out there that could come and say, look, there's that little enticement of Champions League football for you. You'll get that regularly all the way through with 8 games to December, and then who knows, you might get that knockout phase. Am I wrong in thinking that the majority of people thought he was coming back to try and improve their European performances?
I would imagine so, but I think you made the initial point that you made. 1, he was available. 2, he's a top manager, and 3, knows the club. There's familiarity there for him. I think they were all the ingredients why the club went for him and he came back. But I'm sure there was the added incentive of the Champions League, you know, and he will want, from his own personal perspective, to do better in the Champions League going forward. So that will need investment. We'll need a goalkeeper for a start, you know, and he will know the areas that he wants to improve on. It's pretty apparent to everyone what's needed, so it's going to be an interesting summer for Celtic.
And on the flip side of that, for Philippe Clement, after the game, this is what he had to say on the team, what he had available and what he didn't have available in relation to this race against Celtic for titles.
It's challenging playing against a Celtic squad who's with all the players available, and at that moment missing 9 players. That's also part of the story, of course. If we are both fully fit, no. And that's also in the points, even with 2 losses and a draw. We have 1 point more won, I think, in the 6 months, in these last 6 months. So no, there's not a big gap.
So we see.
What do you make of that, Tam? Because I think the Rangers manager feels as if there isn't a gap between the two teams if both have their full squads available. Now, you've got to look at the stats that he's quoting and where they are in the league. What's your assessment?
I still think there is a significant gap, Peter, and I get where he's coming from. Celtic were full strength at the weekend. You know, that was, in my opinion, their strongest team. Rangers were quite a bit off of their strongest team, so you've got to give them that as well. But I think that Celtic this season, there's a lot of improvement to come for that Celtic team, Peter. And I think that Rangers in the summer, Lundstrom will be away, Barisic will be away, Golson could possibly be away, the goalkeeper could be away. You know, Rangers have got a massive rebuilding job, and I don't know if they've got the money to go and put it up to Celtic again next season. And I've read in the social media already, Celtic fans saying, we're getting all this money, it's time to bury, we can bury Rangers, you know. Celtic are not going to go and spend 20, 30 million, they're just not going to do it. Even though they've got that money in the bank, Peter, it's going to be a case of have Rangers get the money to try and get closer to Celtic. Celtic will sign 2 or 3 quality players, in my opinion. I don't think they'll go nuts in transfer fees. If Rangers got the money, if they get the financial backing to go and sign 5, 6, 7 quality players to get closer to Celtic, because if they don't do that, Celtic win the league again next season.
Is it a major build for Philip?
Oh yeah,
Massive rebuild for me.
totally for me. I mean, let's get it right. You can talk about only a point difference. They've lost 7 games in 36. 7.
Kilmarnock have lost 9, by the way.
There you go. That's massive, Peter. You know, and 3 of them are against Celtic. So there's obviously, if you're a manager in one of the big clubs in Glasgow, you have to win one of these games to get sort of credibility from your support and belief from your players. Now, I'm not saying he's a bad manager by any stretch of imagination. He's not been impressive, but listen, results at the end of the day is what counts in these games, and he hasn't won one yet in 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key issue here. And of course, I still think we're still to see the DNA of a Philippe Clement side. I don't know what style it is, and when he recruits those players, Ruffy, what that style will be. Because more often than not, if you were looking at a Rangers title-winning side before, you would start a game and you would see them in the tunnel, and you'd look and you'd say, of a Rangers side, he's dangerous, he'll create havoc, he'll score goals, this guy's going to be tough to get past. They've got one element in their side that I think has been absolutely rock solid, which was Jack Butland. He's just been a great goalkeeper for them all season. The other part of that game that I looked at and I thought to myself, well, Butland makes crucial saves, but where is the real threat coming from? And in that game, I actually thought the real threat could only be a 25-yard free kick from James Tavernier. That's not a good sign of a title-winning side.
No, I think that was noticeable at the weekend. As I said earlier, that most of the chances were falling to Celtic. Rangers were just bit chances here and there. They didn't look as if there was anybody was going to grab the game with the scruff of the neck like Callum McGregor did. And they didn't have. They just seemed to be individuals all over the park doing their own wee bit and hoping that somebody would come up with something special, like a Tavernier free kick or something like that. But apart from that, I agree with the guys. I'd be interested to see. I don't know what kind of player he thinks he needs to bring to Rangers, but it'll be interesting to see, and I think that's what the Rangers supporters will be waiting to see as well. See, from the transfer point of view, I know it might be a wee bit controversial, but if Celtic were starting to build, I'd get Jack Butland if he's available.
You'd ask Celtic to go and try and sign Jack Butland from Rangers?
If it was on.
Yeah.
If they had an idea of that happening, if he's going to leave or whatever.
Yeah.
I would think that'd be a good start.
Yeah, it's slightly controversial, Ruffy. I had down my notes everything there, and I thought the odds in Rangers selling Jack Butland to Celtic are 1,000,000 to 1. But it's of that standard of goalkeeper because they have to try and replace Joe Hart.
Well, it's interesting for Celtic. You touched on Matt O'Reilly as well. I'd be surprised if he doesn't have suitors in the summer.
I'd be amazed if he stays.
Yeah. So Joe's leaving, Matt's leaving, and they were the two probably most consistent players this season. So Celtic have a bit of work to do as well on that account. Definitely need a really top number one, and that's where you build your best teams from. Goalkeepers are, I know from my own time with Fraser Foster,
he's available,
precious commodity. He might be, I don't know if he'd come back a third time or not. We'll see. Be interesting. I think they need another centre half because he obviously doesn't have faith in the other two, Rocky or Larga Bielka. Left back, you need competition there. So, right through the team again, a replacement for Matt. Are they going to bring another striker in? They've got plenty of wingers, but the best one's still James Forrest.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of talented ones bubbling under there. We haven't seen any of Holm this year. We haven't seen enough of Kuhn or Yang to really sort of say, yeah, they're here for the long term. But they don't want to be relying on the same players year in, year out.
Yeah, I think on both sides, certainly in the Rangers camp and certainly in the Celtic side as well, I could rhyme off 6, 7, possibly higher figures of players that are just not up to it, and I don't think we'll be anywhere near a Rangers or a Celtic side next season. Some of them have just been taking wages when a lot of the argument from a Rangers perspective and a Celtic perspective is, listen, if there had been a better recruitment policy, you could have spent that money wiser on maybe, some people I think are looking and saying, why don't you spend it on one for the future who's a Scottish talent rather than wasting huge amounts of money on someone that's just not going to cut it?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think in both squads there are players there that are going to be surplus to requirements. But the thing with Celtic can afford to get a few wrong, Peter. They've got the money to get a few wrong. I don't think Rangers can afford to go and get 3 or 4 in that don't work out again next season. They've got to be bang on with their recruitment, Peter. They've got to be, everything's got to be a success for Rangers to go and challenge. Celtic can afford to, Lenny touched on the 2 centre halves. I thought he was poor at the weekend. I thought he defended pretty well. I thought he was poor on the ball, he looked nervy. I don't think he's the long-term answer at centre half for Celtic. I think Celtic,
a 5-year deal.
I think he's a squad player, Peter. I think Celtic need to go and sign a proper centre half, a good top centre half to go and play beside Carter Vickers. I don't think Scales is that. I think Scales will come in and play 15-20 games in the Premier League. After European games and stuff, he's pretty solid. But I think that Rangers need to get their recruitment bang on. If they're going to sign 4, 5, 6, 7 players, they've all got to be a success.
Yeah. A couple of things before we move on to the other games and then look ahead to the midweek fixtures. Referee, Willie Collum?
Thought he had a good game. Thought he got all the big calls right. I did think it was a penalty on O'Reilly. I did think Diamandi clipped him, and when you're going at that pace and you get that little clip on the back of the heel, you go down.
I still think it emphasises the need to stop this charade with a constant frame-by-frame shot.
Yeah, but the other thing is, Pete, there was no need for him to be called over to the monitor.
Yeah.
For the penalty decision. I get the red card one because he's missed that, right? But the penalty, he's given it. And when you look at it, you go, yeah, I can understand why it's not clear and obvious a mistake. So you don't even need to bring him over to have a look at it.
I think that's the one thing I would like to see, Ruffy, next year is just stop this constant re-refereeing. The fourth official has a limited part to play, and then after that the referee calls it.
And we've been talking about all year the change. We want change, we want this, we want that. I'm sure at the end of the season the referees will have something to say about it as well. I think they've been pillared left, right and centre. I think they'll be going to their association and saying, look, we need to change this, we need to make this better, make it a lot easier for us and stop all this criticism they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as far as out with that, we've all had our say on the lack of supporters from the opposition there. I think it can back to bite Rangers, Tam, as far as having no fans there. The one thing I would say which needs to be absolutely stamped out again is the stupidity of some Celtic fans who think it's okay to throw objects onto the pitch. James Tavernier could have had a serious injury from some of the objects, but there's no point in us condemning it. What needs to happen in the next couple of days is the CCTV needs to identify the person, and then the person not only needs to be banned, but I think highlighted is the fact that you think that's okay to throw something to hurt a player.
Yeah, it was bang out order, Peter. Obviously, Neil was at the game, he'd be watching the TV, and some of the stuff that was coming on, you're right, if I had hit him in the head or the eye or something, it took his eye out, so disappointing to see that, and you're right, I think they need to go and find out who it was, and they need to ban them, and they need to make a show of it, Celtic, because if they go and do nothing, there's nobody pulled up for it and made accountable, then they'll just do it the next game as well, and it's not the first time it's happened at Celtic, the objects been thrown in the pitch, and it happens at other grounds as well. I think Tavernier's had it at Easter Road as well, for example, so you need to dig these, they've got the cameras, they've got the technology, dig them out, ban them, and make sure you make a show of it as a club.
I've got a whole running order here of games, but I'm going to quickly switch. I've just kind of flipped it on its head. I'm going to go.
We'll just sit this one out here.
Yeah, absolutely, because here comes roller coaster opinion as ever. Hibs 0, Aberdeen 4. Is he going to be there next season as the manager, Nick Montgomery?
I don't know, Peter. That's my honest opinion. I don't know. I thought 2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago, last week.
No, I thought 2 or 3 weweeks ago. I think he'll get the summer. He's only had one window. I think it's unfair on a manager to give them one window. I think you need 2 to get your squad in. That performance was a disgrace yesterday. I mean, I watched the game. They were first 25 minutes, half an hour, created chances. Aberdeen were up the park once and they scored. The Hibs are terrible defensively. They're so bad. They lose a goal straight after half time, 2-0, and then nothing. The supporters that were left at the end, certainly made their feelings heard. I don't know if now if Nick's going to get the summer. The supporters, I think a lot of them made their mind up that he's not the man. And I think once the supporters do that at any club, particularly at Hibs, they make their mind up. They've done it with Lee Johnson, done it with Jack Ross at Livingston. We were there that night. Once they make their mind up that he's not the man, then I think that'll be it for him. But it's the manner. It's Nick coming out after the game and not digging people out. I've seen his interview on Sky and he never really dug anyone out. He said he started the game well, disappointing result. it's like a tape recorder, Peter. In the last 3-4 weeks, every time we've lost a game, you just press play and it's the same interview. He needs to show a bit of fire for me. He needs to show that he cares. I'm sure he does care, Peter. It's his career. But the fans want to see a bit of fire from him. They want to see it for him. They want to see it for the players. They're not seeing it now.
Well, Nick Montgomery, the Hibs boss, certainly thinks he's still the man to take them forward.
I remain as confident. I believe in myself and I believe in the direction and where I feel I can take the club, and they're the discussions that we had when I took the job. Of course, my worry was the managers have changed numerous times, and the board have been really supportive, and I've had one January transfer window, tried to bring in a couple of players to improve the squad, which I felt that we did. But yeah, with obviously a summer transfer window coming up, and the chance to bring players in and on permanent contracts and have a good pre-season, which is really important.
I like him as a guy, Ruffy. I think his intentions are clear. I'm not so sure he's going to be there after the summer. My personal opinion is, I think because of the nature of Hibs board and the way they go about things, I think he might be out and Ian Murray might be in. That's my call.
Tam will have told us that, but he'd have had that in.
Tam usually waits till we're coming out of the break.
He waits for the adverts to finish.
Yeah, and then he gets caught with it. But
no, I think when you listen to his interview, and it has been that interview for a wee while, I think he's trying to convince himself. He's saying all the right things for the new people who are coming in. He's saying, look, this is what I can do. But I think when you go face to face with particularly the new owner who is into football, he's at a big club down in England, he's got one abroad, he's the one that's going to be asking. He's the one he's got to convince, because the guy's pumping a lot of money into the club. But as Tam said, it's the fans thing with me, and I noticed it at the clubs I was at. When the fans turn, directors and owners start making, I don't think the word's rash decisions, but when it's directed at them, then it becomes a different ballgame.
3 straight wins post-split, 6 clean sheets in 7 games. I think we really have to pay tribute to Peter leaving.
He has done tremendously well. I was at the semi-final against Celtic. I thought Aberdeen were great. Totally different team from what we saw in the first half of the season. And the results since Peter went in have spoke for themselves, really. It's another terrific win. The Barons and the Clarksons of this world seem to have found their mojo again. Miofsky's, for me, has been, a magnificent player all season. They look more secure at the back. They look more confident. So whatever he's doing, it has worked. The Aberdeen board obviously have got their man in, and they don't want maybe make this, wouldn't say a mistake with Barry, but Barry went in and did the exact same thing, and then got the job off the back of that, and then eventually, very quickly lost his job. So, yeah, they've shown what they're capable of in the last 6 or 7 weeks, but far too late, Peter. I know they had the European run and they found it difficult dealing with the Europa games and then the games on a Sunday, but the too many inconsistent performances. But what Peter's done, it's already playing with no pressure. That's what they're doing now. They're playing with no pressure. They're enjoying themselves, and Peter sort of steadied the ship, if you want to call it that. But they look a decent team again.
Yeah, if we're giving out credit to managers and players and a team, Ruffy, I'm a huge fan of Stevie Naismith. I thought he had a shaky start, but suddenly steadied the ship. It's the highest points tally in 18 years for a Hearts side that's put 3 past Dundee, finished third with more than a few points to spare.
Yeah, I think I've had a great season. Everything on the park, everything off the park. Anybody that's through Tynecastle, the place has just improved dramatically. It's a pleasure to go there. That's why they've got 18,000 supporters there every second week. They're going there, they're enjoying their football. B-boy Barry Mackay's back, who I'm a big admirer of. I think he's a really good player. He's been out for a long time. But they're way ahead of everybody else. They're started to rebuild for next year, and obviously we'll see how they go. But no, I think if you're in the Hearts camp, you've had a fantastic season.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a mention on that, Ruffy says they've been building. Blair Spittle, he's scoring worldies week in, week out at the moment. They must be delighted.
Yeah, it's always good for a support to see somebody who's signed in a pre-contract flying at his club towards the end of the season. I think Blair's been a very, very good player for wherever he's been. He's proven at Premier League level. Fantastic performance at the weekend. Penrice, Danda. That's why Hearts are sitting so far ahead of Hibs. Hearts' recruitment over the last 2-3 seasons has been miles ahead of Hibs. They're signing guys that they know are proven in the league, while Hibs are taking punts and flyers on players for down south or abroad, which haven't worked out. So the blueprint that Hearts I've got at the minute under Joe Savage is working a treat.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't quite work out if the title is decided at the top end. At the bottom end, I'm finding it mightily difficult to work out how this is going to play out because, quite simply, the two of them, I mean, Ross County were spanked by Motherwell at the weekend.
Yeah, I think they gave away 2 goals. You know, Ross Laidlaw, he's been pretty consistent, you know, at one of them days, particularly for the first 2 goals. And a 2-1, they're always in the game, but when Spittle scores that early to make it 3, then the floodgates open. So I wouldn't look too much into the scoreline with that one, Pete, but yeah, I mean, they've got a cup final now, both the teams on Wednesday, is it? Yeah. And St Johnstone just can't bear a win at the minute to take the lead at Livy. I thought they would have won the game and they've ended up losing it, so they're not in a great place, and they're still my tip for making the playoff place.
Yeah, I think they're a stonewall certainty for it, Ruffy. Yeah. I'm going up there on Wednesday night, and obviously I'm going to inquire if the press box seat is actually facing the pitch because St Johnstone are.
I know, but that game against Livingston at the weekend, the chance early on in the game, they chance after chance after
Started the game brilliantly.
Started fantastic. You're going, there's only one way this game's going to go, and then all of a sudden it turned on their head because obviously when you're down there and all of a sudden you think you're doing well and then somebody scores against you, and oh God, I forgot the pressure I'm under. I better start not playing as well as I am, and then the panic sets in, and then when you're down there you lose a goal late on. So I think you could get quite an exciting game. You really do, because the two of them won't have got to go for it. So I think you might be.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get a goals fest.
Yeah, I think
well, as I said to you before, the best games that you get when you've got 2 rank rotten defences. Craig Levein, as ever, never one to shirk the opinion on it. He says nothing's changed ahead of this game against obviously Ross County in midweek.
They're annoyed because obviously they put a whole lot of work into this match, but football isn't a game where you always get out of it what you put in. That's not how it works. So there's a couple of times we made mistakes, we got punished for it. I have to look at those things as well. But the main takeaway for me was, look, the Ross County result kind of went our way a wee bit, so we're still in the same place that we were in the last couple of games.
Yeah, still in the same position after all those chances, couldn't take them. Livingston managed to capitalise and get all 3 points. And sometimes managers, and Neil's like this, sometimes managers have this kind of a little union together where they pay tribute to each other. So David Martindale was asked if he had any sympathy for Craig Levein.
I'll be honest, I've not got sympathy. Ross County and St Johnstone, do you know what? Best team will stay up. Hopefully, they've got a game on Wednesday night, and I just, for me, looking from the outside in, I hope I think whoever wins the game, it's through football, no a decision made through technology. Do you know what I mean? That's because this is a pivotal game in the season for them.
Oh, it's a nervy one. It's one of those ones where the fans just sit there and look at it with their fingers
bite their nails,
face, don't they?
It's winner takes all, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
It's from a psychological point of view as well as a points point of view as well. So, I mean, for me, County, I think have got goals in them. You know, I know it's at McDiarmid Park, big wide pitch as well, might suit them. But, you know, they know what's at stake. And St Johnstone are just on this horrendous run. You know, they can't bear a win at the minute. But you never know. Craig's experienced enough to know what he needs to do. But I think if they lose the game, that'll be it for them.
What's your gut feeling?
My gut's always been Ross County to stay up, and Livingston or St Johnstone to finish second bottom.
County to win at McDiarmid Park, or just
not get beat?
Not get beat.
Ross County are 2 points ahead of them at the minute, is that right?
Yeah.
2, yeah. I don't know the last.
It's a must-win game for St Johnstone, really.
Who's got Who's got a home game at the last one?
You've got Ross County on 33, St Johnstone on 31.
I think Ross County have got Aberdeen.
And the fixtures, as we speak at this moment, you've got St Johnstone against Ross County, and then the bottom half on the 19th of May is Motherwell against St Johnstone and Ross County at home to Aberdeen. An Aberdeen side that have suddenly started to shut up.
And
Motherwell are playing well and all.
And Motherwell.
Both might get beat, so a draw would probably do Ross County.
It's What are you going for, Ruffy?
Yeah, I mean, I would have
Yeah,
went.
well-
I went 2-1 Ross County at the weekends. This how far away I was with that.
We all did.
I went Livingston. I did.
You did?
did.
I think you both did. I went St Johnstone.
Fancy Livingston.
Fair play. Tam, how do you see it going?
I think Ross County will win. I agree with Neil. I think that St Johnstone are just, and I've been obviously in that situation before, the confidence is shit, completely out the team. You go 1-0 up and you just always think the other team's going to come back. And I think St Johnstone are in that vein at the minute. Even if they're 1 goal up, I think they'll still feel that Ross County can come back. So Ross County will win that, and that'll be St Johnstone in the playoff.
Okay, interesting times. We wait to see how it all pans out. Give us your thoughts on it as well. Always good to see your opinion right across our social media, and obviously as long as you keep it decent, then we're more than happy to reply back to you. We hope you can hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and join the football family. We are with you all the way through the Euros, supporting Scotland. We'll get the team strips ready, getting your Scotland top. Tam, what a chance for you. I know you did.
I've got a few now.
Oh, you've got under 21s, haven't you?
3 B caps.
Yeah, still good. Some people would give the right arm for that, Tam, but we're going to give
In fact, I was the only player that never get capped to Bertie Volts, which kind of takes the shine off of that.
Yeah, it's amazing actually.
Some record that.
It is, isn't it? I think my Amazon man get picked for it as well that time. So it's amazing that you didn't get the call. St Mirren 0, Kelly 1 was the last game, Ruffy, and I think fantastic for Derek McInnes. European football, looking forward to it. And of course, the man that I really like, when you talk about players that are your traditional old number 9, Vassell's great.
Yeah, he's been a big player for them, and obviously with Watkins coming in beside him, they've been playing off each other. You can see there's a partnership there that's been very fruitful throughout the year. I've now jumped ship on the player of the year, the manager of the year. Yeah. I'm going to get to Derek. I think Derek McInnes deserves manager of the year.
Yeah, what for the football writers? Do you think he's going to get it?
Yeah, I thought John McGlynn might get the 2, but no, I'm beginning to sway Derek McInnes.
Yeah, okay. Tam, where do you think the football writers are going to go?
John McGlynn.
Yeah. Neil?
I'd go Dell.
Yeah. Of course, listen, when you look at his record, they've only been beaten by Rangers in 21 league games, in the last 21 league games. That's
Really?
some record, isn't it?
That's tremendous. Dead consistent. He has a formula with his team. He's recruited well, and they're such a difficult team to beat. And as you say, up top, they've got players who won, quite willing to work, like the physical side of it, and they're a handful all the time, Peter. But he goes sometimes to 4 centre halves. He's quite happy to do that. He has this structure in the team that's really, really difficult to break down.
Yeah, and of course European football beckons. I think Derek will be aware of what we've all been talking about how it can sap the energy out of your team, but he's just looking forward to the fact they're there.
Yeah, I think it's important. I don't think it means you can budget for that, clearly, and that would be another conversation to have, but I don't think you go into the competition thinking it's just going to be the two guys. We're going to be in a bracket of teams that are more than capable of with their abilities, and it's going to be tough, but I'd rather be in it than watching other teams performing it.
I really, and I know it's difficult, Neil, and I know we've all talked about, being careful and prudent as a board, but I really hope a Kelly or a Hearts, real pressure on St Mirren, but you want them to get group stage football where suddenly they can bank a £7 or a £9 million kitty.
Yeah, look, I know what it's like to do it, and it's fantastic. It's exciting. I just hope that there's a reality to it, Peter, with the board and the supporters in terms of the manager. If he does qualify, if Stephen qualifies, it's an amazing achievement, and then you can have fun with it, then you can really go and enjoy it. But the flip side of that is it's demanding, not just on the European games, but then the expectation coming back. Sometimes it can be a monkey on your back, really, with the amount of games that you play. So they'll need quality, strength and depth. You can't just go with the same 11 on a Thursday as you could on a Sunday. So there has to be a realisation and an understanding of the support that both coaches are going to need if that's going to be achieved.
And just out of curiosity, when Derek was in here for the 1-to-1, he said he still firmly believes that they can have a great season. I'm not suggesting for a minute that he said they can win the league, but what he said is he believes he starts thinking he can split Celtic and Rangers or run them close if he has that 1 or 2 year window where he's able to hold on to certain players and maybe get a few golden nuggets. Can you fault him for at least having that? Because he's got the Football Writers Young Player of the Year has been announced as David Watson. He needs that little window.
He does, yeah, but I don't think he'll ever split the big two with the budget that he'll have to work with. Maybe beat them more on more common occasions as the seasons go by, or even win a trophy. That would be the icing on the cake, really. Like 2 years ago, they're in the Championship, and now they're in Europe. It's a really good managerial achievement as far as I'm concerned. It only took me 1 year to do it, though, Pete, with Hibs, but people forget that.
Absolutely.
I don't.
Well done. I don't. I tried to get so many of the positive things I'd said about you on your desk, but unfortunately it didn't reach there.
Exactly.
But thanks for not banning me. Let's crack on. Premiership table, there's how it looks. And as you can see, Celtic now just need 1 point from their 2 remaining games. And I think the general consensus from most of the Celtic fans is it will be a chance to have a party at Rugby Park, but it won't be easy, Ruffy, because just as Derek has been mentioning there, they'll want to finish on a high.
Yeah, they've got the supporters to send away happy, for next year. Obviously you want to do that with your last home game, and no, I don't think Celtic will get it easy at all. I think it'll be the same level of performance that Kilmarnock have been putting in all year.
Yeah, and are you surprised, Neil, that Celtic have signed Nakamura for just a 1-game deal for free kicks?
Is that right?
Down at Rugby Park?
Well, they were showing some of his goals last night. They were pretty special, difficult place. Kilmarnock got their tails up. Just need a point. A point will do. That'll be enough.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's really hard to go and win and play a free-flowing football at Kilmarnock, and that might be their detriment, Kilmarnock's, Peter, because they're going to rip up the pitch. I don't know if that's for next season, because it definitely is a great equaliser for them at times. But it's not a foregone conclusion for me Wednesday night at all.
I think it's 25-26
Oh, is it?
season that they're going to rip it up.
Right. Have Celtic beat Kilmarnock this season?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't.
Partick.
Yeah, I think might be up. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Peter. I'll look that up while you're giving us a half decent answer. That's a classic Ruffy, by the way, for me to look back over it all. Let's have a look at the predictor, because you two boys are doing really well. But I'm
Ruffy?
Yeah, Ruffy's.
I'm going for £1,000.
Ruffy, that's tremendous.
Who announced £1,000?
I thought it said that's a prize.
He's in the top 10 now, Pete.
Pat is out front, and he's getting scared because Aurora Borealis and Shane Johnson and Ruffy's Skechers could sneak in there.
It's tight.
Ruffy, you're doing well. You've got to 9th, I'm 50th, and then the rest of the troops are just so far behind. But
Why is Kerry and Allison still even doing it?
yeah,
It's embarrassing.
it's it's I'll tell you about equality. They could just absolutely take you out with one punch if you're not careful. But nevertheless, it's been a right good one, Ruffy. We involved everybody.
Yep.
We're going to take the winner and their partner, whoever that may be, out for a gala night.
Whoever the partner may be, or whoever the winner may be.
Whoever the winner may be and their partner. Thanks, Neil. We're going to take them out
The whole squad, everybody.
Well, we go to gala dinners. We're going to take them out for a night out.
Right, okay.
We're not taking the whole squad.
I'm sure we're all dinner, Tom.
Yeah, I'm going to take you before.
How long's he been saying that now?
Before you go away.
That was the 2014 season, wasn't
To
it?
be fair, I'm going to take you out on the 11th of June. Yeah, D-Day, when you eventually tell us. Celtic won 3-1, and 1 win, 2 draws.
1 win apiece and 2
one
draws.
win, 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 wins for Kilmarnock.
Wow.
So it's not a bad record against Celtic, is
It's
it? Neil?
terrific, yeah. It was a League Cup win, wasn't it? And then they beat them. It was a 2-1 when Celtic were going to goal up. So, yeah, like I said, it's not going to be easy, but, the point will do.
Yep, okay. Give us your thoughts on it. How do you think it's all going to pan out? We'd love to hear from you as we get closer to the end of the Scottish Premiership season. I'd like to thank everybody because the support has been magnificent for all the programmes we brought to you. More and more new programmes are coming on board. We want you to make PLZ Soccer your football channel for next season as well. There'll be lots of different programmes with lots of different presenters, a chance for you to enjoy it. I can tell you, coming up over the next few weeks, Straight Talk, we've got Ian Munro, your old pal, your old mucker, has sat down with me. We've had Billy Dodds, Derek McInnes. John Higgins, the snooker player, was absolutely sensational, Ruffy. And he also picked his 5 best players that he wanted in his 5-a-side team.
Oh, keep them set. Keep them quiet.
Don't
The Celtic players.
just
I must be in there.
can I tell you something? Can I tell you something? He's picked a striker at the back instead of Virgil van Dijk. I mean, honestly,
Stick to the snooker, John.
yeah, I was just going to say it's well worth
Give him a
it.
break.
And you just ruined the whole programme, you have. No, it's just honestly, it's getting to the point that Neil longs for the weekend to sit next to Boydie rather than you. Ruffy, Partick Thistle against Raith Rovers in the playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be a belter.
What a Raith.
7,000 Thistle supporters at the game against Airdrie there, so Raith Rovers will bring a big crowd tomorrow night. I think Raith Rovers will be a harder nut to crack. I think they finished 12 points ahead of Thistle in the league, so it's going to be a tough game.
With Brian Graham,
Brian, brilliant. Yeah, I hope he keeps scoring goals. Obviously, he's the main man.
Yeah,
There was some crowd there. 7,000.
7,000.
yeah.
Are the Partick Thistle supporters behind that goal? Now they weren't always behind that goal.
Where on the right?
On the right hand side. No, the way supporters when I was at Hibs, the way supporters were in there.
No. That's
It's amazing. The transformation in Thistle since the new board and that's has been incredible.
You know Bertie Hall's not the manager anymore, don't you? Chris Doolan said it's going to be a tough job for them to get past Raith and go all the way.
The mental side of it's probably the biggest thing for me. I think if you come into playoffs, you have to come in with the right mentality. Again, learning from last year, I think we came in with the right mentality, but it's a long slog, and it's almost set up to be the impossible. We almost did the impossible last year because it's not designed for going 6 games at this stage of the season. But we performed so well last year, and this year we've came in better form, with stronger mentality, with a tighter group. And you've seen the fans that turn up. I think there was a bigger turnout for this game than there was in the quarter-final last year.
Yeah, and I think he deserves credit, Chris Doolan. I mean, he was a great player for Thistle, but it doesn't always go hand in hand. You can suddenly get the best out of those players as a manager.
Yeah, well, he took over from a very good manager named McCall, and then he had them at the brink of promotion. I mean, the way they navigated the playoffs last year was sensational. Some of the football they played was fantastic, and it was incredible. I mean, the snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. They were 3-0 up in the tie at half an hour to go, and somehow they lost it. Even in extra time, they had the best chances, and even they were ahead in the penalty shootout. It just wasn't to be. But they've drawn a bit of strength maybe from that and a bit of motivation. But they've beaten a good Airdrie side. Raith will be a real tough nut to crack over 2 games, but like Chris says, there's an improvement in them from last season to this, so it's going to be a real good watch.
Last season, Ruffy, there must have been a boy who was in the marketing department at Thistle going, 3-0 up, we'll get the DVD,
T-shirts out.
We'll get the DVD out, we'll get the T-shirts, the merchandise for next season, and of course we'll be able to sign this player and that player on pre-contracts, and then it all went pear-shaped.
Yeah, well, for the players that were there that are still there, they're still hurting, because if you can see the interviews they have, like Brian interviewing and Banzo, it's all still there, so you would think that would be the driven, to get them through it this time.
Yeah, absolutely. We shall see. Do you think they're going to do it?
Yeah, I think they'll beat Raith Rovers over 2 games.
Neil?
I don't know. Raith have had a great season, but sometimes when you go so far and push it all the way, then the playoffs are a bit of a come down. But Ian's done a tremendous job there. It's going to be tight. It's a tough call.
Yeah, a tremendous achievement for Ian if he could get Raith Rovers
Yeah, I'd love
and then take over at Hibs.
I'd love Ian to get through, and I think it would be tasty if it was Ian Murray against Craig Levine in the playoff final.
Aye, there's a bit of niggle there, aye.
Yeah, that would be tasty. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I like that, Tam. I like the fact that you're doing that. I'm just wondering, Ruffy, whether he's as good this season for us as he has been occasionally in his daily record column. What do you think? I mean, obviously it's a rolling contract.
Always hard hitting.
You and I have to sit down and think to ourselves, is he worth it, or do we just let him go to the daily record? It's up to yourself. You're the man that pulls the axe.
Can you imagine Lennon was Hibs manager then and I was doing my column? I was scared.
Yeah, I'd be ringing him every day.
I wouldn't slag him.
You just be careful.
I'd be too scared, man.
No, I'll tell you what.
I'll get Ruffy for you.
You'd be fixing your tyres every day. That's what you'd be doing. So, on that note, down south I've got a title race, Neil Lennon, because if you're looking for it going down to the wire, Mikel Arteta has certainly made it interesting, hasn't
Sensational. I'll take my hat off to Mikel after, the disappointment of last season. I think since the turn of the year they've been magnificent. Starting with the big win against Arsenal, and they've taken it to the wire against arguably the best team in the Premiership. It's a machine, Man City. Let's get it right. To go to Fulham and win 4-0, they're beating teams comfortably now. It was a big game against Spurs away, and you can imagine all the Arsenal fans sitting there going, "Come on, you Spurs!" That's the irony of it all. And then if City know they're walking a tightrope here, if they drop points, Arsenal got Everton at the weekend, and the better goal difference as well. Yeah. So what a job he's done this season. What a job the players have done as well. It's been magnificent to watch.
I can't see Tottenham doing Arsenal a favour. Can you, Ruffy?
Well, they went off the boil a wee bit, haven't they? And he's getting a wee bit of stick, which he wasn't getting at the beginning of the season. But they might have. I think Man City have got Tottenham at the right time.
Yeah, Arteta might be dreaming of winning it on the final day. Pep, as ever, just mentioning to his players, get the job done over the 2 games and the title will be City's.
We have to win our games. We know that 2 games left, you win the 2, 6 points, you will be champion. It's only we have in our heads, only. It's Spurs. And after that, if it still depends on us, it's West Ham. And after that, of course, we will know the result, of course, what's happened, but we have to see ourselves.
We know we need a result. We need to do our own thing still in the last game, but today we want to really knock that door and open that box of dreams to live the last and the final day of the season in front of our people with the opportunity to win the Premier League, and that's something that we're going to live together, and I'm so pleased that we're going to do it with these players and staff.
What a finish, and I can't remember one like it since Man City were against Queen's Park Rangers and Man United were against West Ham. It was incredible, wasn't it?
I think Man City are clicking at the right time, Peter, and I think they'll batter Spurs. Is it Spurs tomorrow night? Is it Wednesday night?
Spurs tomorrow night.
Just plays into Spurs are going to come. I don't think Ange's going to sit in, is he? I think Ange's going to go in after Man City, and if you go after Man City...
Was there not another year when it was quite tight?
Liverpool,
Steven Gerrard slipped.
That was 2000.
Yeah,
Brendan Rodgers 2014. Yeah. Pellegrini was the manager then.
Was it?
Yeah, but I remember
Pellegrini was manager Man City.
Yeah, and Brendan was Liverpool.
Yeah,
that was a few years ago. It was when Aston Villa went 2-0 up at City and Liverpool.
Yeah, it was the last day of the season, wasn't it? Yeah.
Drogba.
No.
Yeah.
And there was another one going further back.
Drogba was playing for Chelsea and he slipped and they went through.
After that.
Oh, after that.
Gundogan scored 2 goals, didn't he? And he won it on the last day.
A time a wee before that when
Chopper Harris.
Arsenal beat. When Arsenal beat Liverpool at Anfield.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Oh, that was incredible.
Brian Moore's commentary that night was fantastic,
It's all up for grabs.
Yeah, it's all up for grabs. Well done. Yeah, I'm happy with that, son. Well done. Great memories. Anyway, it's down to the wire. It's fantastic. Just before we finish, Ruffy, are you coming to the Football Writers on Sunday? It's the only night of the year where I have a major bevy and tell people what I think of them.
Right. Well, I'll be there to look after you as usual.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're on a bit of a state at the end.
after these two Southern Comfort lemonades.
Listen, I'm not. I make no bones about saying to you, I'm so glad I'm not a bevy merchant.
There was one year he left early. Not early. I mean, like 2 a.m. But he left. So I was going for the train. It was at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking through George Square and he's sitting on a bench.
with the empty cup out.
Pizza. Yeah, are you coming on Sunday?
I'm not.
You're not?
No, I'm away.
All right, okay. Yeah, then I'll have one. I'll raise a glass to
Thanks
you.
very much, Peter.
Yeah, wait, you back over?
Yeah,
What's
back
that?
over what? He'll be working at the weekend.
Oh, you're working, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Tam.
Yeah, cheers, Tam.
Yeah, exactly. Check your tyres, will you? Brilliant. I hope you enjoyed the show. There's more to come. More of the football show. We've also got our Saturday preview with Kerry, Tam and Ruffy that you can enjoy. The journos. This week with Michael Gannon, who's coming on the programme.
Mad Mick.
Yep, I don't think he'll be happy that you've called him that. With Hugh McDonald and Alison McConnell, I'll be there to keep the peace. And we also have the one-to-ones. Ian Munro, former Hibs and Rangers and St Mirren player, and of course Scotland player. He had a magnificent tape of himself marking Maradona in Maradona's game against Scotland at Hampden. But Ruffy's kids taped over that particular performance, and he's never seen it since. So Ian tells all and what he thinks about Ruffy in that one-to-one. Hopefully you can enjoy all our content. Hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and if you download the app, you'll get all the breaking news at your fingertips. From everyone here on the panel and to you, thank you for listening and thank you for watching.